welcome to DDOCast episode 411, recorded on Christmas week 2015. I'm your host, Patrick. We'll have some guests later in the show. This week's screenshot, Dunata encounters a giant in the 252nd screenshot of the week. Thanks, Marcelo, for sending in this cool combat shot. It's a very nice shot. We like to talk about Dungeons & Dragons online nearly every weekend. You can watch us through Twitch, YouTube, the DDO forums, or from our website at DDOcast.com. DDOcast is hosted by Cyber Ears, the awesome podcast hosting network. Shows are usually available within a few days of recording. The next show will probably be on January 2nd, 2016, and that'll be our year-in review show. You can stay updated by following us on social media pages or from our website, DDOcast.com, where we have a calendar as well. On the podcast this week, we're going to start with the news, and then we've got a little special treat. I took some time with several of the folks that are recording or twitching their gameplay of DDO and interviewed them. So we'll have several interviews from a variety of folks, just a selection, not everybody, but to give you an idea of some shows that you can be watching or check out and just kind of get a pulse of that community. We're going to start with the game news. Traveler's Trunk Assistance, they replaced some of the potions, upgraded them, and to make sure that the people who already bought Traveler's Trunks didn't feel like they missed out, they were sending out some emails to give you those better potions. If you didn't get an email and you did purchase a Traveler's Trunk, please be sure to contact the support team. They try to be pretty thorough, but they did have about 12 emails that bounced back. There were some changes to Intimidate. There's a question on whether or not that was going to apply to Key Shout, and Severlin said that he believed that it will apply at least the cooldown and benefit. On the terms of random loot, Severlin popped into a thread with a couple of comments on it. Unlike previous loot with static effects, the new random loot has scaling effects driven by formulas. This means that for effects that modify player attributes, if a formula is broken, when they fix it, all random loot will be adjusted to follow the new formula. They are looking at specific effects to see if the formula is off. As an example, numbers reported for spell power values might mean the formula is incorrect. The effects that might be too high that they haven't specifically encountered are spell power, saving throws, and insightful attribute bonuses. They'll be looking at many effects, but he thought he mentioned specifics up front. Armor should not be dropping with weapon-specific effects, and vice versa. They're going to fix that. It is kind of awkward. There seems to be some display errors because the scaling effects require special tech to create dynamic tooltips. The tooltips used to be completely static. Those were added to the effects in a separate pass. They'll be looking at those reports. They will be looking at the progression formulas for specific effects to see if they need to be tweaked. And they will discuss fine-tuning the system so certain effects, like Vorpal, don't drop at really low levels. People have been finding Vorpals as low as level 2, which is fun if you like Vorpal and Kobolds. On the topic of Legendary Raids and Legendary Elite, the raids on Legendary Elite are balanced for level 30 characters who have already gathered decent endgame loot, including some green steel items. If players could safely run Elite during opening weekend, they'd have nothing to build towards. The raids do hit hard and are punishing on DPS. One way is to rely on range kiting, but another is to build a tank healer combo to soak the damage. Players told us that their tank characters couldn't hold aggro, so they improved Intimidate. They do want those strategies to have some value to players. They will be looking at the damage numbers on specific creatures on Legendary Elite, but not for the hotfix. It's just kind of commenting on what the balancing goals are. And I will tell you, they are punishing on Elite. Things do hit hard in there. But time will tell to see how players react to that. Update 29 release notes came out. The only things that I wanted to kind of pull out that we hadn't talked about before. Legendary Raid bypass timers are now available in Daily Dice and the DDO store and can be used to bypass the timer for Legendary Raids, which are challenge rating 31 or above. Those would be the new raids for this update. Intimidate has been improved. Intimidate's cooldown has been reduced to 6 seconds. If the initial Intimidate succeeds, the bonus threat is now skill times 200. For example, a successful check with a 70 Intimidate would set the character's threat to equal the highest threat plus 14,000 damage worth of threat. The threat boost provided by Intimidate now lasts for 12 seconds. The threat boost provided by Intimidate for melee attacks was increased from 50% to 200%. Intimidate now uses a shorter animation, and Intimidate's threat multiplier is 400% for melee, 100% for ranged and magical attacks. Diplomacy also now uses a shorter animation. There was a hot fix this week. It fixed a couple of things. Several green steel weapon effects would not persist through logout. Arcane Warrior now works with ranged weapons. Scion of Elysium's tooltip now makes it clear that the bonuses apply to your pets, an important distinction. Riposte no longer causes game performance issues. It was having a continually stacking effect, but not actually doing anything, and was causing a lot of performance issues. Tendon Slice is no longer the cruelest form of PvP. Tendon Slice was permanent for players that got hit from that in PvP. Quite cruel. Insightful and quality potency effects now give their proper type of bonus. They adjusted the horn sounds to curse the sky. The horns were quite repetitive and annoying. Tempest Spine runes are now accepted by Tempest Rune Trader instead of Hound of Zoriat runes, although the tooltip continues to ask for Zorian runes. They adjusted lighting and several other issues in the quest Creeping Death. Fortis should no longer get stuck in an NPC state at the final part of the Legendary Shroud, which is preventing some completions. And Storm's Harness hand wraps no longer lose their shocking effects. A recipe now exists in the Stone of Change to repair hand wraps affected by this bug. Note that the Stone of Change will remove any augments placed into the hand wraps, so remove them first prior to using the Stone of Change. Some bugs. So Update 29 came out. It was not a perfect rollout. They had to do a rollback of character data as part of a fix for several things, mostly items and random loot. So it was only about maybe 2 hours, I think, but it did involve a very long night for the staff at Turbine and working on DDO, and we thank them for working long hours that pretty clear day. Some other issues that came up, they had to close the Shard Exchange and the Kenneth Crafting Hall. Masterful Craftsmanship and Cursed items had those bits removed, and minimum levels went up on those items as a result. It was a bit of a mess. Some other things that are going on, they're currently looking at an issue where particularly low-level items that are not high enough level to spawn a benefit of a certain type will spawn the benefit and put the bonuses +0. There are other ways this can manifest as well, including on higher-level items, but this is one reason that they are seeing that. They're also investigating whether or not it's actually just a display error and is actually giving a benefit. If you are an attentive person, you may have noticed that on your loot gems, the text has changed. They now say that some of them now say that they are a die roll increase on what you're rolling instead of a +2 loot. They're looking into this. They have new loot gems coming, but it looks like some messages got crossed. So they are supposed to be giving the same benefit that they used to be. It's just a text error. And let's see, there are still some items that are not very happy. That would include Scarabs of Absorption and Cargon's Tasty Ham. They have kind of disappeared. Unfortunately, since it was actually not included in the new loot table, it's likely that some of these things will not just automatically be restored. They had to figure out how to do that. If you have them in a bank, leave them in the bank. As long as they remain untouched, there's a good chance they will still work after they fix it. The Abishai cookies. Cookies are out for the festival. Unfortunately, the Abishai buff is not working correctly. They hope to get that fixed, but it may not be for this festival. Although it may get fixed in the interim, so if you have those cookies and like that buff, you can hang on to them and use them after they do get fixed. Bonus days for the several weeks, actually. Through January 3rd, you can get, there's a holiday party is what they're calling it. It's a +5% group bonus for every member in your party other than yourself, and a +50% guild renown bonus. So yeehaw, if you've been looking to farm some guild renown, now would be the time. Go run some of those sagas. Store news. Hang on to your hats, folks. We got some serious store sales this week. Autos boxes are for sale through January 3rd, as well as triple bonus points. Yes, you heard me. Triple bonus points through January 3rd. You can also get 85% off of expansion packs at the DDO Marketplace through January 4th. Sales in the actual store, you can get 25% off of Quest Packs and Quest XP Elixirs through January 7th. You can get 35% off of Sovereign Healing Potions and Challenge Tools through December 31st. 75% off of Artificer Class and +2 Tomes of Fate through December 31st, as well as 50% off of select cosmetic armors and outfits and skill tomes through December 31st. The freebie for the week is a lasting potion of resist fire ×5. You can actually get 2 of them this time for the freebie, so make sure you enter the code twice. Community news, the 172nd Chronicle. Bambi the Insane has a festival poem. The guild was Monarch. Currently focused on epic content, mostly epic leveling and epic reincarnating. They're looking for players who have a strong collaboration, emphasis on sharing information, having a good time in-game. They are new player friendly. The comment for the week. What was your favorite addition to DDO in 2015? I will be saving that for our end of the year review show, but it will have something to do with raids. The Dandles of DDO went into the Inspired Quarter. DDO Players News chatted with the DDO team, as did DDOcast. So make sure you check those out if you'd like to get behind the scenes a little bit with Update 29. The Order of Cycletica has tips for Through a Mirror Darkly. He was doing kind of the whole Wayloon chain. It was stealth tactics. Enrique looked at new random loot. Tactilicious and Craftilicious delved into elemental damage. Dirty William continued his Wrath series, and Full Moon Fury hit a favor milestone, and DDO Gamer found a funny screenshot. Festival also continues through January 3rd. The coins should be, the coins will drop through the third or fourth, and the gesture will be around a little bit longer than that. Is usually the normal way that works. Some other videos and stuff in the community. Voodoo posted a video of an epic hard Defiler of the Just using a tactic where they have 3 people in each corner. Axel had an Update 29 First Impressions video. DDO Gamer had a blog about blinding trinkets. And then also, he is doing a Gaming Awards. So he wants to know what your thoughts are on the year 2015 for DDO, so you can go there and and pick your nominations or vote on what you thought were some of the best pieces of DDO this year. Tactilicious and Craftilicious looked at Up 29 with a quick reactions post as well. The Damsels of DDO had their 30th episode. The Players News had their 64th episode, and the Cocktail Hour had their 94th episode. The Players News, of course, had their interview with the devs special as well. Order of Syncletica talked about kiting the judge in Tower of Despair. And Mickey's Delirium looked at Coal Chamber, and Enrique looked at random loot and his first thoughts on that. DDOcast news, DDOcast Splat will return next week, hopefully. And we're also doing an end-of-year survey. It's a quick little survey. It'll probably take you about 10 to 20 minutes, depending on how fast you are. Share it with your friends. Even if they don't listen to DDOcast, there's some other stuff in there that I'm looking for players to answer. It will help us for our end-of-year show or year review show. It's also preparing for another guild feud. Several folks requested another one of those, so I need to gather some information for that. So with that, we're going to close this portion down of the show. Thanks for listening to this show, and thanks to all the folks that are contributing for DDOcast. And a special thanks to all the folks that participated in the interviews that I did for the show for Twitching, which will be coming up very shortly. And thanks to Turbine and Wizards for making DDO, and thank you to Cyber Ears for hosting the podcast. You can hit us up at DDOcast.com for show notes, our calendar, previous shows, swag, and other fun stuff. If you'd like to be part of the show, if you have a comment on this episode, a question you'd like to ask us, or a topic you'd like to hear us debate, if you just want to say hi, leave a comment. You can email us at ddocast@gmail.com. You can also find us on social media and follow us for the latest cast updates there. The closing tip for the week comes from Sula on Kyber. Enjoy with friends. DDO isn't a job. You don't need to be a professional player. So until next time, may all your attack rolls be crits, all your tests level appropriate, have fun, and don't forget to enjoy the holidays. This is Shamgar, and I am with the Damsels of DDO as part of our Twitching video episode. So if you could, ladies, just introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about yourself briefly, and who are the damsels?
Sure, I'm Lessa. I've been playing since 2006.
Keep going.
I used to be in the original DDOcast. I think I started on episode 32, and I took over for the woman who turned into Tolero. Isn't that right, for the role players?
Mm-hmm. Well, you
I'm
tell
so
me,
old,
Lessa.
I keep forgetting. I mean, Lessa is just old. I'm sorry.
I think we got a good thing going here.
Battlemaster
I'm
extraordinaire. I walk down the halls and things just drop dead around me. I don't even have to do anything.
I'm Mithra Inferno, and all of my mana just disappears the moment I enter the dungeon. And as soon as I'm empty, I'm done for the day.
Piker.
Exactly.
Okay, did we do good, Patrick?
That's great.
Hopefully your listeners realize that we just trolled each other. And
Off the cuff too. That was pretty impressive. Well done, ladies. So tell us a little bit about the damsels of DDO. How did you start playing together, and how did you end up forming a Twitch stream?
do you want me to take this one, Saba?
Sure, Lessa.
Oh, okay. Well, I was actually pulled into a permanent static group by a player named Rentapone, and he kept telling me about these two ladies that he played with. Oh, you gotta meet the girls, blah, blah, blah. So we formed a permadeath static group, because at the time I refused to do anything that wasn't permadeath. And we started from there. Gosh, that was, I don't know, 12 months ago, 13 months ago.
Are you talking about the dancers or the permadeath static?
The red eye. I'm talking about the red eye
was
static group.
12. See, Lessa's old and she doesn't remember.
I do. Time has no meaning for me.
We know this because
Seems
she's
like-
always late.
Seems like yesterday.
Yeah, that was 2012.
Yeah. So what that went on for a little while, and then we just kind of evolved where the DDO community started twitching, and we wanted to be involved in it as well. So we formed the Damsels of DDO for the Twitch stream and decided that it would be cool to do an after action review podcast and talk about the questing that we were doing, things we liked, things we didn't like, things we liked and didn't like about each other, and that sort of thing. What we were doing in DDO. Yep, we do rumors and news. We do basically the treks that we're on together, the things that we're doing individually, everything DDO related that is involves us. We talk about it.
With flair.
You think?
There's a lot of flair involved.
There is a little bit of
Nice of
flair.
you.
How would you describe your play style?
We're all different.
Yeah, dramatically.
Awesome.
Let's see. I'm going to describe Sava Jade's playstyle. She is a power gamer, end game player who sometimes comes down to my level to grace me with her presence.
So wrong.
That's it.
I'm
Okay,
not
now
a
you
power
do me.
gamer. Okay, Lessa, let me see. She is a I have to pick up every single thing in the dungeon player.
Well, that's permadeath. You
She's
don't
like,
know what's going to be useful.
Zerging is going down every single hallway.
But you zerg down every hallway. You just do it faster than normal.
Wait, just for the clarification, have I been playing permadeath wrong? I'm supposed to pick up everything?
You're supposed to pick up everything.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
supposed to
No.
use everything.
Well, not anymore since you're dead, but
Yeah,
when
There's
we're alive,
that.
yeah. Let's see. What kind of player is Mythery Inferno?
Awesome.
Okay.
just awesome.
She's just awesome.
I think the jingle sums it up pretty well.
Yeah, the jingle's pretty good.
Except that last one where Myth couldn't respond.
Yeah, she didn't know how to respond to the church choir. So,
I know how to play, and I do play, and I never take it too seriously.
That's a good answer. Anything else you want listeners to know about the damsels and what they're missing if they're not watching you?
I think they were missing a great group dynamic because the three of us are so different, and because we all come from these different schools of thought and bring all that with us into the questing. It ends up being really funny, actually.
It is
get a
funny,
lot
and
of
it's a lot.
pos-
You can
Yeah.
tell we have fun when we're playing,
Yeah.
even though we are three different kind of players. We have a lot of fun, and it
Yes.
shows in our Twitch streams and our podcast.
hmm And we get a lot of positive feedback on the YouTube comments on the DDO YouTube channel.
So how can people watch you play?
They have to
That's
stay up
Saba
late
Jade's job. Yeah, she's gonna.
because we play at
First of all, you
11
need to take
Pacific
you need
time.
to take a nap.
Yep, take a nap.
Take a nap and join us at every other Tuesday at 11 p.m. Pacific time, what you would call Wednesday at 2 a.m. if you are in Eastern time.
I was mentioning to my sister, who is in Central Time, that we have a couple from the UK that watches us, and she's like, "What?" I said, "Well, they're getting up.
Yeah,
their
it's
morning,
morning
so-
for them. Yeah.
And where can people watch you too?
Oh, right. That's
Oh.
right.
Good question."
That is a good question. That's Twitch TV/DDO stream because we are part of the DDO live stream team. And I believe every once in a while when Saba J has her stuff working correctly, she also twitches from the rogue point of view, which is very interesting. And that's Twitch TV/Saba Jade. All one word.
That's
Okay.
not working as well as it used to, though. I don't know why we can't have two up.
Yeah, Twitch changed something. It's a little bit buggy lately. I can't watch chat and stream at the same time.
I haven't had that problem actually, but that's unfortunate. Well, thanks, ladies. Thanks for joining me here, and thanks for being a part of DDOcast as well, because you all three have been on the show all together and also separately, and that's a lot of fun to have you on. And you've got something coming up, something special coming up. Why don't you plug that before we have?
Oh, we have two special things. The first, Patrick is going to stay out way past his bedtime a week from Wednesday and do the podcast with us.
Did you talk to his mom about that yet?
Well, and then the week after that, we're going to have a special where a bunch of former guests, come on, and we're going to Twitch the Hound. We're all going to be in wolf form, so it's going to be a wolf pack. Hopefully 12 of us.
It's going to be
might do
some
BOD.
dog eat dog. Yeah.
Dog. And that's going to be at 9 o'clock Pacific time on the DDO stream Twitch feed.
Great.
That's December 29th.
Thank you very much, ladies.
Thanks, Patrick.
Thank you.
Thanks, Patrick. Where's my surprise?
All right, DDOcast listeners, we have here the illustrious crew of DDO Splat, the brave souls that are willing to play permadeath with me, which does require some bravery since I do seem to actively try and get us killed almost on a weekly basis, and sometimes I succeed. So let's go around the table and just introduce yourself. Who are you, and yeah, how you started playing DDO really fast. Don't everybody start at once. Bueller? Bueller?
Nobody wants to say anything.
All right, we'll start with
Patrick
Lessa.
is playing by himself. Unless I started playing DDO in 2006, I think, as a way to transition from days to nights, or from nights to days, or whatever.
And how'd you get into
At
permadeath?
work. How did I get into permadeath? Gosh. I saw a video about it, actually. And then I read about it in the DDO forums, and I decided I want to try it, and then I never looked back.
Hey, how about Bitter Steel? Why don't you go next?
Okay. Bitter Steel, known as Spooky Kid sometimes. I started playing DDO in beta. Long time ago. And then just kept playing. Took a break here or there, but pretty much stuck with it this whole time. And heard about permadeath on the forums very early on. Joined a pretty much hardcore
Yeah, you joined a hardcore permadeath guild.
I did. Mortal Voyage. They were awesome. But then I stopped playing DD for a while, got tired of it, took a break. But now I'm back.
Welcome back. Chai, why don't you go next?
My name is Chai. I started playing DDO in 2006 when one of the people in one of our test groups for the tabletop game told me about it. Started playing permadeath here in 2008. Before that, I managed and co-wrote a permadeath server in the game Neverwinter Nights, version 1, called Permadeath Myth Draenor. And we ran that for almost 6 years. So the transition to permadeath wasn't hard for me. It was a concept that I knew fairly well. But it definitely translated very differently to this game than from that game.
Easier or harder?
Depends on what concept you're talking about. Easier in that you can get better gear a lot more quickly over here. But tougher because you can only have 6 people in a party, where you can have many more than that in Neverwinter.
Okay. Mayun?
I started playing DDO back in 2009, I think, just after the game went free to play. I guess I stumbled across it, so that it just gone free, and I thought, yeah, why not? I'll give this a try. And I came and I tried it, and I kind of never left. As for permadeath, it's... I can't actually remember.
Fair enough. I am Patrick, of course, your host of DDOCast. I started playing DDO back in 2006, just before Titan came out, maybe a month before Titan came out, back when level cap was still 10. And this is actually my first foray into permadeath. I've kind of avoided it, not from a philosophical standpoint, but more from a standpoint of not wanting to... not necessarily wanting to start something new at the time, or go away from the many characters I already had. Lessa and I kind of started talking about... Well, everyone was kind of starting to Twitch DDO, and I was kind of thinking about how, if I started to Twitch, what that might look like, and I talked to Lessa, and DDO Splat was kind of born, so we started playing permadeath. That was kind of how it started. We also have Senator David in our group. He couldn't be here tonight. He had some family stuff to take care of, being around the holidays and all of that. Les and I kind of started this, and then I think Mayun kind of joined in. Steiner David brought in Bittersteel, and I think Lessa brought in Chai. That's kind of how we started playing. It was just Lessa and I to start with, and then people just kind of slowly started to form before we had then we had a group of 6. How would you guys describe our play style besides permadeath?
Reckless.
Berserky.
Reckless abandon.
Zergy.
Those are all good words for it.
But it's not fun.
It is.
Crazy.
I think that the last life, I mean, we just party wiped a couple weeks ago, and we probably would have got a lot farther if we hadn't done Giant Hold Tour. I'm still a little surprised that those dragons were that tough comparatively
They're
to every other stuff.
tougher on heroic than they are on epic. Every time I say that, people shrug and go, whatever. And then we roll up new characters.
It was still fun. Yeah, and so if you want to watch us play Permadeath live with much hilarity ensuing, we usually play on Tuesdays at 5 p.m. Pacific time at twitch.tv/DDOcast. Anything else you guys want to say about DDOcast Plat before we wrap this up?
Well, permadeath is fun. Everyone should try it. Definitely.
You should try it at least once.
Yep. Twice or 3 times because you're going to die.
Yeah, right. And if you're looking for a group to do it, you can join the Sublime Permadeath Guild on Thelanis, and Chai will kindly let people know where you can go on the web to find out about us.
Let's see. The website is sublimepermadeath.shivtr.com. So it's sublimepermadeath. And then shivtr.com. And that's the brand spanking new website we just put up after Guild Portal decided there were going to be no more.
Guild Portal died.
Yep.
And there was not a lot of caring. We managed. It was having problems. It was not coterminous with the material plane and fun stuff. But if you want to join us, you can check out the website for the rules, and you can join us on Thelanis and just find someone in the Sublime Permadeath Guild with a level 1 character, and the fun will ensue from there. Thanks, guys. It's been a pleasure playing with you all, and happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
As we continue looking at several DDO players who are twitching DDO, we're going to have some fun and hilarity and her words, not mine, a hot mess. We have BonnieBew.
Yes, I am a hot mess.
Welcome,
That's
Bonnie.
what I bring to the table. Thank you for asking me to talk about things and stuff.
Yeah. So just, if you would, take a moment to introduce yourself. How did you start playing DDO?
Hi, I'm BonnieBew, and like many people, I was invited into a van by a friend of mine and said, hey, here's this cool game that just went free to play, and you should totally try it out. So that's how it was friends. Friends yoinked me into DDO. So I actually played for several years. The player named Lotus Fly got me to play the game, and we started a guild and played and played and played and played on Canath server for so many years now. But it was when DDO went free to play. We jumped on that gravy train.
And how did you get into twitching? What kind of led to you to decide to let people watch you play DDO?
Well, like most questionable things, it was Les's fault. She came up with this thing along with Samus to do the Spring Fling, to have a static group on Argonessen, and they got Cordovan in that group, and then they got some Brits. They got Rach and Grimoire into that group to start, and they also got Can't Touch This from the Canath server, and I just signed on to be an alternate. Like, if somebody could not be there and fulfill their static group duties, then I was participating. But like people dropped out and stuff, and pretty soon I was a regular part of that group, and they were all twitching. Everybody was twitching. Cordovan was streaming on the DDO stream channel, and Les was streaming, and Samus was streaming, and I was like, and I think they asked me, "Are you streaming too?" And I'm like, "I guess I am." And so then I started figuring out how to do it, and it kind of took off from there because I had a reason to be streaming on a weekly basis. And you pretty much the rule of thumb is if you're going to be streaming on Twitch, you need to have something that you're doing on a regular basis to stream. Otherwise, there's not as much point. But yeah, it was Les's fault.
And what can people expect when they watch you play?
Well, that is where the phrase "a hot mess" comes into play, because it pretty much is. I usually say that you can play awesomely well, or at least I sometimes can play awesomely well. But the minute I get on a Twitch stream, two things happen. One is I get narcolepsy and I start to compulsively yawn. And two, my IQ drops by at least 20, and I start doing the stupidest, worst playing of all time. I can no longer find my way through quests. I can't even find quests, and I'm not using normal kind of like hotbars, clickies, or anything like that. I'm driving people crazy with my messy inventory, and it's usually me just goofing off. I'm distracting myself. So I'm goofing off and interacting with the people who are in my chat channel and being as silly as possible. Because usually when I'm streaming, it's to have fun. It's to be silly. And usually it's not to be like the uber elite player style and to necessarily be teaching anybody anything, though sometimes that does happen quite by accident. But it is to have fun. And there are a lot of people in like my guild and players who are really excellent players, and they stay focused and they keep their eye on the prize and they play well. So if I'm grouping with them, then you might actually see somebody do what they're supposed to do in quests and zerk through things and be really super efficient. But I'm usually too distracted to do that. So that's it. Silliness, distraction, trying to have a good time, and a hot mess is what people will get if they tune into me streaming.
And for a while, you were doing Shroudapalooza, and you've mentioned that you might be doing that for Legendary Shroud.
Yes.
Do you want to kind of give people an idea of what that was and what they missed out on and what they can expect coming forward?
Oh, yes. Well, about this time last year, around the holiday season, I decided as a regular show I wanted to do something else in addition, because Spring Fling was still going on. It happened for like a year. It wasn't even spring anymore. We were like doing winter flings and stuff like that. But I wanted to do my own kind of show. And I thought, well, I don't think anybody really wants to just watch me run around Cannith all the time doing what I do. So I decided to try to make it more of a community-based show. And I thought about, well, what content allows the most people to do it, and what content is kind of still like relevant to people, whether they're level 15 or level 28. So I thought Shroud, the heroic Shroud at the time, was the best focus of that. And plus, it was like one of my favorite raids in the game ever. I just love Shroud. So I decided to do a Shroudapalooza tour, go to each server and roll up a character and try to play a little bit with people on the server, so to kind of get into a little bit into the communities there. And then on a Saturday, take 3 hours and just do as many shrouds on that server as I could get done, just letting first come, first serve into the party. And it ended up actually being a lot more successful than I thought it was going to be. Because the very first show I did was on Argonesson, and I was like, oh, please, just like get me one party full of people who want to do Shroud. And I ended up getting to do like 4, I think. And I just rarely ever had problems filling the party. So it was really awesome. And there's a lot of really good community spirit, I think, there. Especially there were servers like Wayfinder, which has the lowest population, but there are people telling each other by word of mouth that, hey, these shrouds are going on and stuff, and you should come along and run them with us. And so it was really fun. And I did that on a weekly basis, got to all of the, 8 servers over roughly like a 10-week period, because I took weeks off for Thanksgiving and Christmas. And I was super burnt out after doing that. It was fun, but I was like, whoa. It's strangely intense when you stream for like 3 or more hours straight, and you don't really think about how much it drains you, but it's kind of like teaching or training people in that you're giving all of your attention and focus to something for that period of time. And I think that it gets a little bit tiring after a while. But then I also did a show with one of my guildmates for a while. After taking a couple months of break, I did a show with my guildmate Moosey, and we did the Moosey and Bew show for like 8 weeks in the summertime. And that was the same kind of thing. It was just like streaming mostly on Caneth and interacting with people and trying to like have like some positive community experience there and to have fun. And so the next time I do a show, it will likely be I'm planning on doing a legendary Shroudpalooza tour of all the servers. Only this time I'm going to prepare my characters before I even start the tour, and I might like do it every other week or something like that to kind of give more of a break between it. But I certainly want to go to all of the servers and see how much of each server community I can get involved in doing runs of this new raid, because it's Shroud. And right now, everybody like needs parts for their fancy green steel, legendary green steel pieces.
I imagine it would be
So
easier to fill the party this time around.
Well, like it wasn't that hard before, so because everybody always needs displacement clickies, so they just need more displacement clickies and other fancy stuff. I don't know. There's stiff competition from the new random loot too.
That's
Maybe
true.
we should just have random loot palooza. Have like just do whatever quest and then see who gets the best random loot out of our Shroud runs or something. I don't know.
Last question. How can people watch you?
People can watch me on twitch.tv/BonnieBew. That's BonnieBew. Bew is the sound that lasers make. So that's where I get that from. So if you follow me there on Twitch, right now I kind of stream every 2 weeks or so. I will be streaming later on in this month doing when I'm going to do a guest thing on a Damsels of DDO show on the 29th, if I'm remembering the calendar correctly. So I'll be streaming along on that date. And who knows when the fever will hit me. But just follow me at twitch.tv/BonnieBew. And then you will be notified whenever I do get up to shenanigans. You can also follow me on Twitter at BonnieBew. And I usually tweet out something when I start streaming.
Well, thanks, Bonnie.
Thank you for having me.
As part of our continuing coverage of our Twitch family of DDO, we are here with Musk from Argo. Musk, why don't you take a moment to introduce yourself, say hi, and give us an idea of how you started playing DDO.
Hi, my name is Musk. You also know me under my Twitter and Twitch handle as Gary782. I started playing 5 years ago. I don't know, I just found this game. It was like, I think it was a Facebook ad. I just started playing the game, and then recently this past summer I decided, hey, I should probably start streaming this because, I don't know, I just felt like I had both the two things that you needed to stream, and that is personality, being an entertainer, and then number two, being good at the game. So if you have those two things in line, usually you can go ahead and start streaming something. So that's pretty much it. Other than that, I think a lot of people on the server pretty much know me, and I'm building a pretty good following on my stream also.
Well, hopefully this introduces a few new folks to you as well. I got to ask, how did you kind of get into entertaining or discover that you were a good, quote, entertainer?
Yeah, if you watch my stream, I tend to have certain people on there continuously, like every week. A lot of my viewers know my friend Shay, also her character name is Smut. And then my friend Chad, his character's name is Jada Roslin. And then there's Kevin, who's Rexus, and then a few others too that pop in and out. But you know, they're always telling me how funny I am, and I mean, even growing up, a lot of my friends at home and everything, everybody tells me, you know, you should have did stand-up and stuff like that because you're funny, and I'm always saying random things. So I kind of always had that going for me. Going into college and everything, I went to college for business and got into public speaking. So there's that also. I'm not afraid to just say whatever and talk about whatever. I can also do tutorials pretty well, I think. So that's pretty much it as far as the entertainment side of streaming. And I think that is a strong point. A lot of people sometimes, maybe they're not good at the game that they're playing, but if you're entertaining, you could still stream the game even if you're not good at the game. People will still watch you, At least I believe that.
And how did you kind of start thinking about twitching DDO and kind of get into the stream team and stuff like that?
Well, what's funny is, I used to watch Gemini116 before he was a part of the stream team, and I used to root him on and talk with him on his Twitch channel. And then I realized as I was talking to him, I know quite a bit about this game, and I think Gemini's maybe on his 7th or 8th past life, and I'm actually a completionist, and I have 24 past lives. And I realized I know quite a bit about this game. I've been around for a while. When I first started this game, I think Red Fence was being promoted on every upload screen. So I have been around for a while, and I started streaming, and it was kind of a learning process at first. It was a lot of research about OBS, and that is the main thing, is understanding how OBS works with partners and non-partners, and then getting those settings right. And then, of course, the big process to going into this was to have a computer built, because before I was just using a gaming laptop, and honestly, it was not for streaming. Even though it was a nice laptop. And I still use that as my side computer. So I had a computer built, and that was the first thing. And if you go back onto my Facebook and Twitch post, all I talked about was getting this computer built. I finally got it done, and then the next step was, headset with a nice microphone on it. I invested into that. Then I just started streaming, and it was a learning process at first, and I had to learn a lot of things. Then eventually, T13 or Shoemaker and Cordovan jumped on my stream and asked me if I wanted to join the streams team, and that's pretty much where we're at now as far as my streaming history goes.
You really went all in, getting a nice new computer and everything, or was that just kind of the excuse to get that new shiny computer you'd wanted for a while?
What's funny is, I've never, and as long as I've played this game, I never really was I gotta have a really great computer for it. I just wanted to log on a couple hours every day and just hang out with my friends. But I guess in some ways it was an excuse. And then my friends were like, well, you need this. You need to get an SSD, and you need to get this, and you need to do that. Make sure it has this. And so I went to a company called Morris Technologies, and they ended up building me the perfect computer for playing this game and streaming at the same time.
Nice. How would you describe your play style? What can people expect when they watch you?
That is one thing. People, I've shown people my build for my Ranger. I'm pretty much done. Ranger is going to be my final build. This is it. This is my final build. I'm going to do a little bit of epic reincarnations to get to epic completionist, which I only have 4 more ERs to do. I don't believe in racial enhancement trees. I think it's kind of like tunnel vision. They prevent you from being able to do what you want. If you like a certain build, but the build says, well, you have to be this race, I just really think that locks you out of just a lot of potential. So my play style is to build for the class, not for the race. I guess that would be the best way to say it. And then I used to be a big glass cannon. A lot of people called me and my friend Mike a glass cannon, because we would build for high burst crit situations. We would take down big bosses like as fast as possible. But nowadays I lean in for more of a better crit profile, and just good, solid first number to first number damage.
Then lastly, when and how can people watch you play?
If they log on to Twitch, they can see me at twitch.tv/Gary782. That is my main channel. And from there they can follow me. And I try to stream as much as possible. I'm actually leaning towards more in the mornings of -5 GMT, around maybe 10, 11, 12 o'clock in the mornings. I have been known to stream more often in the past, from 1 to about 3, and then also they can catch me on DDO stream every Thursday at 1 p.m. as long as nothing else is going on. Like this past Thursday, there was an update to the game, so I did not stream from there. But you can catch me on DDO stream then. That is my time slot for DDO stream. And as much as I can, I try to give away 500 turbine points on my channel. So definitely hit that follow button, and you'll know when I log on. And I usually announce it on Twitter also. So.
Thank you very much, sir.
Hey, no problem. I'm glad to have been able to have a chance to do this with you.
This is Shamgar with the DDOcast, and we have some special guests here, the Shady Rogues, who play DDO, and then let us all watch their shenanigans on YouTube. Why don't you guys just take a moment and introduce yourselves?
Hi, I am Nick.
I'm Jess.
And I am Rick.
How did you guys start playing DDO?
We have played DDO. How long have we played DDO? Please help me remember.
I want to say, like maybe 2008. It was the time that it went free to play.
We were part of the Froob expansion, the free to play noobs.
Yeah.
And we played for maybe about a couple years, a year and a half to 2 years, something like that, and we took a break, and came back maybe about a year ago-ish.
Okay.
That sounds about right to me.
Yeah.
Did you guys start playing together in game? How did you become the Shady Rogues as a group?
Well, first off, me and Rick have played video games together for like 20 years. We've known each other since high school.
Oh, we're so old.
We're so old. We really are. And me and Jessica started dating in high school, but we didn't start playing video games together until later. But
it's been at least 15 years. So.
Yeah.
Game is a little more intimate.
We are so old.
We're so old. Yeah, I know. Being over 30 is just so horrible. But we've played video games together as a group for 10-ish years, the three of us, with also some other people. But for the most part, us three. For about the last 10-ish years. And we kind of have rotated through games, and DDO has been a part of that rotation.
Right, because you play a couple other games and post those as well.
Yes.
We probably started with Diablo 2. That's the first one I remember.
The three of us.
Together.
Yeah, we played the hell out of Diablo 2.
Way more than anybody ever should have.
Yeah, it was unhealthy.
Yes.
And then we played City of Heroes and several other games. So.
Some Old Republic. I'm trying to remember all the games. What else have we played? Neverwinter Nights?
Yeah, we played that for a while.
We tried the Neverwinter
tried
Nights Memorpica.
Titan
We
Quest.
tried that. Titan Quest, yeah. If it's Path of Exile, if it's like Diablo 2, we've probably played it.
Chances are.
That's
Torchlight.
kind of your benchmark.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you have a background in Dungeons and Dragons pen and paper, or is it just through video games?
I don't, but
I do. Kind of limited. Me and Rick have played some pen and paper, like back in high school. I've played a little bit more pen and paper with some other mutual friends and acquaintances. So, yeah.
Okay. And how would you describe your play style? What can people expect when they watch you play?
A lot of random stuff.
Mistakes.
I really suck at playing a rogue, so
Well,
I kind of go in first, and I'm not supposed to.
Yeah, and that's regardless of the game. She will.
I'm much better at playing a fighter. You know.
yeah, her play style is more tanky, I think.
Regardless
Something
of
with
the
a lot of
game
hit
class.
points.
We try to focus on having a good time. I think that's. I think that's our play style.
It's a good play style, really.
Yeah.
Have a good time, because if you're playing a video game and not having a good time, then what's the point?
You're kind of doing it wrong.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So I've
Not
heard.
really.
Go ahead.
Sorry. No, it's okay.
I've heard you guys mention a few times the Shady Rogue drinking game. Would you maybe kind of explain that for people who are not familiar with your Shady Rogue drinking game?
Was that your thing, Rick?
Actually, I think you
that-
came up with that. I'm going to give you credit for that because that's yours.
Okay. It felt like that there was a lot of times that we would try to remember what was in a particular mission, and then it was mostly me and Rick that would do that. We'd be getting ready to go into a mission and like, okay, what are we fighting? And one of us would usually say, well, I think we're going to be fighting undead or something like that. So we're trying to put our old brains together to try to figure out what's in this mission from where we played it like years before. And every time we did that, we started referring to that as the Shady Rogues drinking game.
Yeah.
Just, when we try to do that, take a drink at home, folks, or, whatever, that kind of thing. Is a way to kind of like engage our audience.
Because usually you were completely and totally wrong.
Yes.
Well, that's the case with me, not necessarily with Nick. I tend to confabulate, so Nick is a little more accurate.
Not really. I go back and look at the footage, and I'm like, no, I'm totally wrong in this. Rick's just not going to remember that I was wrong.
That's a good way to do it. Make sure he doesn't remember that
Yeah.
you're wrong. Make you look a little smarter, right?
That's been like 20 years of this. You just can't remember the things.
Yeah, it's been a while.
So how can people watch you play?
You can watch us at the Shady Rogues Gaming channel on YouTube. We play several different games, not only Dungeons and Dragons Online. We've been playing Vermintide, Path of Exile, games that look like Diablo 2. And I play a couple of games by myself if you just want to listen to me blather on.
Great. Well, thanks very much, guys. Look forward to seeing some more episodes of the Shady Rogues. Make sure to check them out.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you for having us on.
Thank you. I appreciate
Absolutely.
it.
Yep.
Our pleasure.
This is Shamgar of DDOCast. I'm here with Strimtom from the Strimstream. Why don't you introduce yourself, Strim, and let us know how you started playing DDO?
Hey everybody, yeah, this is Strimtom here. I've been playing DDO for quite a long time, actually, since the closed beta. I've been a Turbine fan for a really long time, played Asheron's Call 1 and 2 until the day Asheron's Call 2 died, and right when that was happening, I remember getting the invite to the DDO closed beta, and since I'd played Dungeons & Dragons for quite a long time, I really enjoyed the tabletop gaming, 3.5 being my favorite edition, and it's a game based off of 3.5, I really wanted to try it out. So having played other games like Neverwinter and Baldur's Gate, playing a DDO was an incredible breath of fresh air, and it felt amazing, especially when at the time it kicked your ass 8 ways to Sunday. That game was really hard back then. And then since then I just haven't been able to give it up. It's my favorite game of all time by far. And while I've enjoyed Turbine's other games that they've produced since, like Lord of the Rings Online and even a little bit of Infinite Crisis while I was still around, DDO is still my absolute favorite.
How did you get into streaming?
Well, back in the day when YouTube was just starting out, I decided to make a YouTube channel. And, I uploaded some gameplay videos and a couple things, just stuff I thought would be mildly interesting. And after a while, there was I used to play Final Fantasy Tactics, and I would upload videos of that, of some mods. And I got picked up, and the people started watching them, and I just thought, hey, maybe I could upload all sorts of different things. So I started uploading more games and different ideas and different mods or what have you. And then I started uploading things I made for school. And eventually, while nobody watched my videos and it wasn't very popular, it just became something I realized I really liked to do. And once I heard about the streaming platform, before Twitch actually was even around, but it was Own3D, I did some streaming on that, and I played League of Legends a lot about 3-4 years ago when all this was starting up, and I just used to stream all the time. I thought it was really fun. Nobody watched me because I didn't really know what I was doing. I had no practice, but it was really good. And after doing a couple tournaments and organizing them and then running the live stream, I thought, hey, why don't I just do this more for other games? And since DDO was my favorite game, and every day, well, almost every day, I would tune in. I wouldn't really see anybody streaming it. I just figured, why not do DDO? So I've tried to focus my stream more around that, and kind of bring attention to a game I really enjoy, so other people can maybe enjoy it themselves.
You mentioned a little bit that you played a lot of pen and paper. Do you want to kind of give us an idea how you got involved in pen and paper D&D? You mentioned 3.5 was your favorite. Maybe some other things you can remember growing up with D&D?
Yeah, absolutely. My dad, he was a huge a tabletop game kind of guy. So he played all these old Napoleonic games, things like that. And a lot of the on-the-fly games were, when I was younger, a little bit too hard to understand. But Dungeons and Dragons, even if you don't really understand what's going on, like all of the numbers behind everything, it's really easy to understand the actual game because it's essentially just a story. So you go into town with your friends, and then some kind of thing happens. Maybe you get robbed, or maybe one of your friends decides to rob somebody, and then it's almost like acting out in real life. It's all about the role play, and that really resonated with me. I really thought it was a lot of fun. I've never been a very creative person, but I felt like a real creative outlet to just be able to, kind of act in a different way or a contrary way. And so at that point, I really grew to like it. I learned more about it. This was back with the original 3.0 rule book. Shortly after, when 3.5 came out, all the people that I knew that played Dungeons and Dragons, they swapped over to that, and ever since, just absorbing all the books. It was very quickly memorized everything because I didn't want to have to look things up while I was trying to act out my character or scenes. I started DMing a bit and writing my own game worlds, and it was a lot of fun just to bring other people into something that I really enjoyed that hadn't played it. And also even just with veterans, it's really fun to just sit around a table with your friends, have a couple beers, and go get slain by some dragons. So that's it. I played 4th edition a little bit with my brother, but I couldn't really get into it. 4th edition felt more like a video game to me than actual tabletop gaming. A lot of the rules I just didn't really like, and so I just stuck with 3.5. But that's just a personal preference. They're all good games at the end of the day.
Yeah, I can understand what you're saying about 4th edition. I liked some of the mechanics, but I kind of walked away not only from my initial reading, but just kind of playing it, that it turned everyone into a wizard or like a caster type. It was all about special attack this, special attack that. It's got a little cumbersome and a little less special.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is it was my first game I'd ever played, and I was playing, and there are really good ideas in 4th edition. The whole minions concept, where you have a boss that has a bunch of minions that only have like 1 health. Again, it's very video gamey. It's just like ads in a boss fight, in any standard raid or dungeon, but it's very video gamey. But it translated pretty well into the game. But there was a situation there was like the second fight where my character got hit by some ability and became immobilized. But I had been knocked down previously on the turn before. So immobilized means you can't move from your space. But my character was knocked down. And the immobilize effect was, it only means you can't move. You can still attack and do stuff. So I was like, okay, well, I'm immobilized. Can I stand up? Because I'm like lying down right now. I like got knocked over by like a bull rush or something. I was like, can I stand up? And the DM was like, I don't know. And we just couldn't figure out whether I could do that, because the only reason I couldn't move was because of some magical effect, but the magical effect wasn't really well described, and so I was just unable to move. But I could like stand up, could I jump up and down, but I can't move, forward or backwards. And it was one of those things that it makes sense in a video game, but because you're on a grid. But when you actually put it into regular Dungeons and Dragons, where you can choose all your actions, if I want in the middle of combat, I can say I take off my pants and I shake my genitals at the enemy. It would probably be ineffective. But it's a choice you can make that you wouldn't be able to make in a video game. And once you start reading into some of the deeper mechanics, a lot of them feel like they thought about the combat in the sense of like what you would do if you were playing a very scripted game, but not if you decided to just use your own wit or ingenuity to think of a new way around a problem.
Or the game pace was so slow that you had time to really analyze what you were dealing with.
Oh yeah.
We're going to go back a little bit to the streaming and DDO. What can players expect when they watch you play?
Well, it really depends on the time of day. Generally, I just like to have like funny color commentary about what I'm doing. I want to do sort of an informative stream. I've played this game for way too long, and I've wasted my life on it, so I really don't know anything else valuable. But I know almost everything about this game. So I'm always able to answer questions or provide good insights onto the character builds or the way some of the background mechanics work in the game. And I try to do that as I go around. And also bring out a bit of the history of the game, especially when I go through quests. Because when things get updated and changed, you may not know exactly what it was like before. So I like to do stuff like that. The reason I say it really depends on the time of day is because, every once in a while, I do like to have a few beers and maybe get a bit rowdy on stream, and it becomes a lot. It's very fun at that point, but I wouldn't say not safe for work, but maybe not as family friendly as I might otherwise be. A lot of fun though.
Fun is a good mode of operation for a Twitch stream, I think.
Yeah, I think it's important. The most important thing about when you stream on Twitch and what I try to do is it's all about the viewer interaction. Dungeons and Dragons Online may not be the most interesting game to watch because it's way more fun to play. The idea of running through a dungeon that's like 3-dimensional, it has these weird locks or puzzles, like tile puzzles. It's more fun to do a tile puzzle than to watch somebody who knows how to do the tile puzzle. So streaming Dungeons and Dragons Online really provides a challenge in how you keep your viewers entertained. Because instead of describing, okay, to do this tile puzzle, you turn these tiles in this order, you can talk about how you've done the tile so many times that you've it's almost like it's the back of your hand, or so you make it into like some kind of joke, or you can even feign like, oh, I don't remember how to do the tile puzzle, or that you're distracted. There are definitely ways you can try to make something seem more interesting, or you can just talk about something else over the tile puzzle, and then when somebody asks, oh, there are tile puzzles in this game, then you can elaborate on that. But it's really a challenge sometimes when. It's not to say that the game is boring, but it's definitely way more fun to play, I find sometimes, than it is to watch. With obviously some extraneous circumstances, some of the people that stream as a group here on Twitch, where they get a bunch of their friends in a party, that can be a riot because the banter is pretty good. But when you are trying to provide your own banter with yourself, you have to get creative, and viewer interaction is really the key thing there. Anytime somebody is talking in the chat, you've always got a subject, and you can always keep people entertained with something that goes along with the game.
And finally, how can people watch you play? When do you usually stream?
Well, that's a great question. I regularly stream from 7 to 10 Eastern Daylight Time. Apparently that's what it's pronounced as. I used to call it Eastern Time. But 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time on Mondays on the official DDO stream. I have my show, it's the Strimstream, and I generally try to market it as in several segments. I show off different quests and how to do them. I show off the character build that I'm doing and try to provide as much positive information. I also want to use it as like a medium to bring people into the game who may have never seen it, and kind of do a little bit of like positive advertising for it. And then finally, I have a segment at the end of my show where I bring a really good decision that Turbine has made, and then I contrast it with another decision which just seems like it's the same or similar thought process, but they just didn't make the leap, to kind of show that there are ways you can always polish a game, and that there are ways that Turbine can even see it themselves, that they can, and to spark discussion of what other players want in the game. However, outside of that 7 to 10 block, generally my schedule kind of limits me to streaming in the evenings, although I don't have a very solid schedule. It changes quite frequently because I do shift work. However, as long as you're following me, you can generally catch me probably about 3 times a week on my own channel, between 7 and about midnight. If I ever get a day off during the week, about 50% of the time, I'll just stream for 10 or 12 hours from like 8 in the morning until like 8 at night. But that doesn't happen too often.
Great. Thank you very much, sir.
Hey, thank you for having me, and it's been a slice.